Hey there, greetings everyone. Welcome back to the old cybersecurity show here. And today is going to be hopefully very fun for everyone because I want to make some malware. I mean, who doesn't, right? It's what we get up for in the morning for, right? Is to make malware. Well, I say that. I mean, it's going to be malware. Don't get me wrong. It's going to do things that somebody at the other end probably would not want. But for us, it's all about the learning experience, right? It's how do these things work? How can I get around security mechanisms, maybe even use that in a red team engagement kind of thing. So that's where my mind went with this. I've been thinking about some cool stuff I want to do. And this is actually going to kind of be a little bit of a mini series that we're going to work our way through. And today is episode 1 of said mini series where we are going to create a Trojan and we're going to jam that into a Linux binary, specifically a text-based Minesweeper game. It's really kind of fun. I've done this a couple of times before, and I thought this would be a great platform, though, for us to kind of build upon, learn new techniques and tricks that we might use in creating some really useful type of malicious thing, and then have it do all sorts of really cool stuff. But today it's all about building the binary that has the Trojan in it so that we can start that conversation. Now, I don't want to make you guys think, well, I've got to be a programmer to do it. No. You got to go that deep. This is going to be a pretty simple step-by-step instruction on how to build this thing. Like I said, I've done it and been successful with this technique in the past. So I figure we'll just take that, I'll show it to you, and then we'll continue on down the road and build upon it. And we'll add really neat stuff like obfuscations and things of that nature later down the road. But first thing we need to do is create this Linux binary Trojan. Now, before we get too deep in the weeds and too far down the road, I want to just extend an invitation to you good people in the interwebs who are watching to hit the like, subscribe, share, notification bell. And of course, as always, I like those comments. Comments are always cool because that's where conversation gets happening, and you know how much I love that. Had some great conversation with you good folks that have been watching. I really appreciate it, and I enjoy it. So I'd like to, again, extend that invitation to you to do all those things, support the channel, tell your friends, say, come on down. Daniel got some cool stuff going on, and we'd love to hear your input, your insights, and things of that nature. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get in to the fun stuff here. We get the computer screen up. Here we are. This is where I learned how to do this, that I follow the bouncing ball and I make this happen. You can do this too. So I just basically looked up, how do I inject a Meterpreter payload into a Linux binary, right? Because I've done Windows stuff in the past. We'll probably do more in the future. But I thought, let's do some Linux stuff. It'll be fun. And I stumbled across Offensive Security, and they had this write-up, and this is in their Metasploit Unleashed series. If you haven't read that or you haven't seen it before, it's a great read. If you want to learn more about Metasploit, it is a phenomenal resource. So definitely check that out. I will make sure that the URL at the top of the page here, this thing that I can't triple click, is going to be in the show notes or the episode, the description down below. So check that out, and if you want to follow this along. Other than that, let's start working our way through this thing. So, it says, in order to demonstrate that client-side attacks and Trojans are not exclusive to the Windows world, we will package a Metasploit payload in with an Ubuntu Debian package and give us a shell on Linux. So, this is specifically going to give us a reverse shell, okay? And we're going to use Metasploit to do all that stuff. Let's see here. First thing we need to do is download the package. So, here we are. Step 1, right? Step 1. I felt like Casey Kasem there, for those of you who understand that reference. Casey Kasem. Step 1, download the package. It's a horrible Casey Kasem impersonation, but yeah, he was a fun guy. Let's see here. We got to get that downloaded. In our example, we're going to use this package called Freesweep, which is a text-based version of Minesweeper. Okay, so what do? We apt-get download only install Freesweep. I can do that. Then we make a directory in temp called evil. Then we move that package into temp.evil, and then we move into temp.evil. Very straightforward. Let's get a terminal up and running. Come on, terminal. You can do. Did I click it? Maybe I didn't. There we go. Hey, second time's a charm, right? And then we'll make this to where it's human visible. I do not have 20/20 vision, as many of you probably don't as well, and you never know what screen you're looking at this on. So anyway, right, sudo apt, and it was --download -only, and it was Freesweep. I think that's what they said to do. Let's go back. What I got? I opened 2 of these things. I don't need you. Thank you. Yes. Download only. Oh, and then install Freesweep. Okay. Download only. Let's back it up a little bit. Install Freesweep. All right. Put my password in. Hopefully I can do that. And package Freesweep has no installation candidate. Okay. So this was one of the first roadblocks that I ran into. And this does happen from time to time where you find nice little walkthroughs on the interwebs and you think, cool. And then they no longer work because they're out of date. The packages are no longer a part of the repository. I could do try to find a repository that this would be useful for. That'd be one way to get around this problem. But man, I don't want to do all that. I just want to hit the easy button. I like easy button. But all that to say, every now and then you're going to come across things that are not perfectly do step 1, do step 2, do step 3. You're going to need to be able to bob and weave, to move around and pivot a little bit, be agile, and kind of work around the problems that you're going to encounter because it's going to happen. So it's a really good skill, and I thought that was something that I wanted to bring up in this episode to make sure that we address that. Just because you couldn't go 1 for 1 doesn't mean you should stop or give up or start asking people, hey, this is broken, or yelling at offensive security for saying, look at this thing you wrote 4 years ago. Like how long ago was this? Does it even say? It doesn't say. At least I don't see it. But that's not fair to hold them to say, this is a snapshot in time. You have to have those capabilities to work around your issues, figure out your problems, and use Google. It's your friend, right? So it is a good skill to try to learn. It's one I had to employ on this because it wasn't working. So let's get back into the computer screen. Well, since that didn't work, right, I got no candidate for download. I was like, all right, well, Let me go to Google, and I want to download Freesweep dep. And that took me to this pkgss.org. And as you can see, it was the first thing. So I just clicked on that link and I see download Freesweep Linux packages for Debian FreeBSD. Okay, that's exactly what I want. I have 2 official main packages that are available. I've got an ARM-based and AMD 64 base. Again, okay. I'm going to want that AMD 64. So I'm going to click on that. This was fun where I was greeted with this page for the download, and it was like a bunch of ads that look like they say start download now, and I'm like, no, that's an ad. As you can see, ads by Google. So let's get going here. Where did I go? So I kind of just looked down through what was available, and there were some alternatives. I probably could have just done that, but I think I ended up grabbing this where it says download. I just kind of grabbed this URL, right click, and open link in new tab, which, if everything goes according to plan, everything goes, there we go. It finally popped up with download this. Excellent. All right, hit OK. I probably already have that saved in there, but that's all right. It's no problem. That's how I got around the fact that it wasn't in my apt repositories for Kali. Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? I guess we're on to step 2. I can close these windows. I've got what I need. All right, I guess not step 2. We're still in step 1. Make dir temp evil. Let's do that. All right, cool. Because if I ls downloads, yeah, there's my package. So let's make dir /temp, and we'll call it evil because that's what they called it. That's fine. And then we want to move that package there and then move ourselves in. Okay, so move downloads or wherever you saved it, Freesweep into /temp/evil. That's good. And then move to /temp/evil. Excellent. Do an ls. It is there. Just verifying everything. Cool. Clear the screen. Now we have made it to step 2. Let's see here. Next, we need to extract the package to a working directory and create a Debian directory to hold our additional features. Features. Let's see here. Yeah, aka reverse shell payload. So we're going to do a dpkg on freesweep.deb into the work directory. All right. And you could do a -x to extract all these things into that. Okay, I can do that. I will do dpkg-x, and it was freesweep.deb amd64 into work. Now, you'll notice that in the the step-by-step guide here, they had a different version, right? 0.90-1, and it was a 386 architecture. We don't have that. We have 1.0.1-2 on x64, AMD64, right? Just got to keep those things in mind when you're working with this stuff. All right, booyah, that looks good. I should now have a work. I do. And then they want us to create the Debian page. That's right. So mk, I guess it's in work. So cd into work, and then mkdir debian. Booyah, I have all that I need now. That step 2 was pretty easy. I like step 2. Makes me happy. All right. Step 3 is in the Debian directory, create a file named control that contains the following stuff. I will create one, but I'm going to copy and paste all this because that seems easier than typing it in. You don't want to watch that anyway, so there's that. So I'm going to go into the Debian folder, and I'm going to use my text editor of choice. I typically use nano, and we call it control. Bam. Shift Control V that monkey in there. And this is where, remember, we were talking about different versions, right? And different architectures. Well, looky right here. We've got a version area. I assume that's important to the build of when we package things in and we basically rebuild this Debian package, right? So that's not going to work. I believe we were 1.0.1-2, or is it 2-1? Oh, goodness. What was it? Oh, it's not here. It's here. I'm going to go ahead and just save that. Control S, Control X, and it is 1.0.1-2. Okay, excellent. Go back into nano control, and we will make that version change. So 1.0.1-2. And then, of course, the architecture is not i386. It is AMD64. All right, Control S that, Control X. Now that is saved. Looks like step 3 is in the can. All right, moving on to step 4, which is we also need to create a post-installation script that will execute our binary. In our Debian directory, we will create a file named Postinst that contains the following. And again, I will just copy and paste this. Doesn't look like anything needs to be changed. I don't see anything with like versions or anything. So it's just a small little bash script or shell script, not even bash. Copy that. Let's go here. It's called Postinst. And I will kdir post. No, not a directory, right? This is nano postinst. Inst. There we go. Shift Control V copies that in there. And it looks like it's just using sudo to change the file permissions for this user games Freesweep scores thing. And giving it read or looks like executable permissions and full permissions for the user. So that's good. That's fine. Control S, Control X. We have that done. Step 4 is done. I think we're on step 4. I'm actually starting to lose count at this point. I'm losing my mind, and y'all are reaping all the benefits. Hopefully, anyway, you guys are having a good time with this. All right. It says now we will create our malicious payload. We will be creating a reverse shell to connect back to us named Freesweep scores. So it looks like we're going to use, this is where we actually bring in Metasploit. We're going to use the MSFVenom tool, which is part of the Metasploit package, to make this happen. Now, that said, let me bring you close in for just a second here. This is just for our proof of concept. I'm going to follow the game here, but this is not where we're going to stick as we move down the road. I just want to make sure this works. I want to show you that it works. And then after that, like when we move into the next episode, we'll talk about changing what that does and how we can change that to be more of a useful tool than just a one-trick pony of, hey, I got reverse shell. And that's cool. I mean, you can use that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like downplaying the usefulness of getting a reverse shell. But I want some persistence and I want to fly under the radar with that persistence, right? So yeah, shell access can do that if I'm waiting for it and it gives it to me. But with something like a Trojan, it's really difficult to know when someone is going to run that. And you have to have the interpreter multi-handler sitting around listening, waiting for connections. And if you don't catch them, then you miss them and so on and so forth, right? So I want to make this a little more robust and a little more useful. But again, for right now, we're just going to kind of follow the bouncing ball, make sure it works. Okay, let's see here. Again, I'm going to just copy this and then we'll kind of go over it for a second and figure out what's going on and any changes that we need to make, because we do need to make some changes. So boom, copy. Let's go back to our terminal here. And here we are going to paste that in and see what's going on. So we've got MSFVenom. Control C this so I can move it up the screen. MSFVenom -A x86. Well, we already know that's not right. This is not x86 architecture we're building for. We want to build for 64-bit. So we got to change that. Platform is Linux, so that's all good. Just asking, what system are you going to run this on? Then there's the payload, right? This is Linux x86. We're going to need to change that to 64. Then we got shell reverse. I mean, I don't know if that would cause it to stumble or not, honestly, off the top of my head. If I'm on an x64 system, I run x64. Most systems nowadays in Linux are x64, so it should be good for that. I'm not really remembering a reverse or whether or not it's backwards compatible. But then the standard stuff for shell, lhost, the listening host, and the IP for that, which we'll need to change because that's not my IP. Port 443, nice. Always a good idea to try to use something that probably is not being blocked by any kind of firewall. Then we got -B for bad characters. It's only got one, the /XOO. I've used that one in the past and I have had success, but I do want to add some just because it's typical to see other characters. And then -F, which is the format, which is ELF, which is Linux binary format. And then the output to Freesweep scores. All right, so let's paste it back in there. Let's make those modifications. I'm gonna add here /XOA. Oh, not that. OA /XOD. Typical bad characters that can cause issues. So I'm just gonna throw them in there. I like the port of 443, so I'm leaving that. Oh, I need to get my IP address. I don't know what it is. Let me split the screen here. Get that IP. So IP adder pipe grep 4192, I believe. So I'm 1.78. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to just change that from 101 to 78. And then we're going to change what the architecture is, which is going to be 64. And then, or that was the payload. And this is, which includes the architecture for the payload. And then the architecture we're going to use, which is 64. Fire and forgets. All right, come on. You can do it. It's churning. It's doing the thing, right? This is one of my favorite things to wait for is computers to do their thing. But it looks like it's done. And we have saved as booyah. So if I'm remembering, because like I said, I've gotten a little lost on where we're at stepwise, but I think that was step 5. We should be done with that, which looks very similar to what we saw here. All right. This will be step 6, I guess. If it's not, I'm calling it step 6, and that's just what we're going to do. Now we make our post-installation script executable by building our new package. The built file will be named work.deb, so we will want to change that to freesweep.deb, I assume for social engineering purposes, and then copy the package to our web root directory or however you're going to deliver this to the masses. Let's see here. So we chmod 755, or you can use, plus X or whatever on the Postinst, then run dpkg-deb. This is just like, yeah, I guess that was big enough for you guys. I always am worried that the fonts are too small and that you can't see it. But we're going to run dpkg-deb --build temp evil work, our work folder, and then it should build the work.deb package, which we will then rename. Whew. All right, we can do it. Let's try this thing. So I'll clear ls, and I'm going to chmod. I'm just going to do plus X on Postinst. And then we are going to do that in dpkg, dpk. Oh, you know what? I'm never going to type this right. I always have trouble running dpkg. Booyah. Copy paste works great. Copy. Bam. Shift Control V. How about that? Fire off. And it does say that it built in temp evil work.deb. So if we back the trolley up a little bit, right there, and we do have a work.deb. Booyah. Now, let's take that monkey, move it from work.deb to freesweep.deb. Bam. We are on the final step, which is getting our end user to upload that. Let me just take a second to talk about that action. Social engineering, right? Hey, click this link, download this cool game, you're going to love it. That kind of stuff, whatever it takes to get someone to download and install the package. I have a target, a victim, whatever you want to call it, sitting right over here. And yeah, there you go. It's doing its thing. By the way, don't do any of this stuff for evil purposes. Don't actually try to hack people's stuff. Only do this with, good intentions, for learning, for purposes, for you to expand and learn more about security and how things can go awry if you're not paying attention to them, right? So that's what this is all about. This is not intended for you to take this stuff and actually hack people, because that would be bad, and that's not what we're about here, okay? I'll get off my soapbox. Let's get back to the business at hand. All right, my computer screen. Let's see here. I'm just going to serve this up with Python. I am 178, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to split my screen. I'll do it like that, and I will get this like this so we can see. And I'm going to SSH into my device over here. So SSH into, let me get its IP address real quick. It helps if I type right. 1, 9, 2, yeah. Looks like I am 130 over there. Okay, so good. SSH into 192.168.1.130. And I think that's, oh, yeah, no, I give it a password. I don't have a, yeah, there we go. There you go. I'm in my ThinkPad. I'll go to here. And this is where I will download this thing. And I'll just pretend I'm surfing the web, found a cool game. That's the whole idea. So I'll just use Python. So Python 3-m http.server. Bam. And now I just do a wget of HTTP. This is a great way to transfer files, by the way, everybody. 168.1.1. Nope, we are 7.8. Was it? I think it is. Whoops. On port 8000. We'll find out really quickly. And it is called freesweep.deb. Yeah, looks like I got it all right. Excelente. So I do an ls. I've got freesweep.deb right there. All right. Well, now this actually takes us to the next step, which I believe is step 7 at this point, right? What step are we on? We did that one. Okay. And I believe it's step 7. Yeah. Because now what we need to do is, I'm not doing Apache because I served it up with I actually kind of included this in the last step. You could have easily done that, just copied it to the var-dub-dub-dub or var-dub-dub-dub-html directory and used Apache, would have been fine. I just did it with Python because it was easy and right in front of me. Now it's time to use the multi-handler to grab our reverse shell. So let's control C out of this. You will want to sudo this MSF console because we're using port 443, and port 443 is only usable by, right, somebody with administrative privileges, because you're kind of reaching down into the bowels of your computer at a lower level. All right, so I'm going to use it's exploit/multi/handler. Booyah. It says it configured it with the generic reverse shell payload, which is not what we want. So we want to set payload to Linux/x64/shell/reverse_TCP. That looks good. If I do options, I do need to set the L host and L ports because they are not rights. So set L host to 192.168.1.78 and set L port to 443. That should be good. Hit exploit or run. The handler has begun. Now, this takes us to the final step, which I believe is step 8. But count now just means nothing at this point, does it? All we have to do is install the freesweep.deb package from our target. So our target needs to install that. They've been enticed. They've downloaded the thing. Now they want to install it. Let's do it. So sudo dpkg-i freesweep.deb. Fire away. Give my password because it was sudo. I did not type that right. Let's try again. There we go. Installing. Things look a little weird. I'm going to kind of lose it. But, hey, look at that. Command shell 1 has opened. And if I do an ID, I'm logged in as root. Like that root. Root tastes good going down, doesn't it? Like root beer. But better because it gives you system access. And that's what we like. So that's good. And I can see the host name should be my ThinkPad, which it is, as we saw here when I was logged in through SSH. Oh, it's got some weird characters in the clipboard or whatever now. I'm going to just close that because I got the access I'm looking for. We have proved our concept. Whew, that was fun. Close up. Bring it on in. Let's break it down. So we've gotten root access to our targets, and that's great. But like I said before, it's just the beginning. Being able to get root on that is great, but if I'm not sitting there waiting for it, if I didn't have the multi-handler running or some sort of listener waiting for that shell to come back, I would have missed it. I want to do something better. I want to make it to where anytime I turn on my computer and from anywhere in the world, I get that access. It just comes flooding in. And maybe even I control whether I want access from it or not. I can just, I can accept or deny, that kind of stuff. I want to make it better, more useful for me as a tester. So, because if I was on a pen test, this would have been nice. And probably, but the way I did it, it would have been very difficult to wait for that. I mean, I could have had an interpreter running. Maybe I got like a specific dedicated like C2 server that's running the MSF console and a Metasploit, waiting for that stuff. It's totally doable, but I just kind of want to move away from that and move toward my own thing and build for the learning purposes. So that's what we're going to do. Plus, I didn't tell you this earlier. I want to do some like tomfoolery that's going to see if I can hide this stuff a little bit from anybody that would do like threat hunting. So if you started to do normal threat hunting activities looking for issues that actually would give you false information that looks legit. That's my idea anyway. Whether or not I can pull it off, who knows? It's worth a shot though, because it'll be a lot of fun. And that's what we're all about here. Learning, fun, good times had by all. Well, everyone, thanks for joining me and thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this. Like I said, it's just the beginning. We got more episodes to come that are going to build off of what we did today. So definitely come on back. I'll try to release those as soon as I can. Well, I still have to film them. But once I film them, I'll get them released and you guys can enjoy that. But until then, thanks for watching and keep on hacking.